To our final game of the night. My name is Daniel Sifa Dracos, and I'm joined by Ryan Frosker and more. And we're here to bring the game between Misfits and Inertia Gaming, two of our favorite teams. How you feeling about this one, Frosk?
Super excited. Obviously, Misfits are the big up-and-coming name that everyone's buzzing about. The veteran players flanked Crumbzz, Alex Ich. That said, Inertia Gaming are 1-0 so far, so they're undefeated. Likewise, so are Misfits. Someone's going to break that streak today, and relatively unknown, so kind of hard to put where Inertia is going to line up against Misfits.
Well, it's going to be curious. We saw Misfits take down Cloud9 Tempest, one of the strongest teams, or one of the teams we thought would be the strongest. Cloud9 now 1-1 after their victory in our previous game. Misfits, though, showed kind of a higher level of strategy, and I'm wondering if it's going to carry through into this game. Inertia, of course, kind of a tough loss yesterday. One small mistake from Astro on that Zed led to his team losing the game in kind of that base race situation. And, they have to be careful not to avoid decisions like that again, because if they make a misstep like that, I mean, they lost the game yesterday, but if they make any missteps like that, Misfits are going to overtake them in an instant. That's the kind of team that they are.
Other players that you may recognize from Inertia's roster. Trigger there is Evan IRL from Area of Effect, formerly Elements' team. Lord of the Pit, the McMaster jungler, and also the newest addition to the Inertia lineup. So they describe themselves as very clinical, calculated, and Korean-esque.
Well, we'll have to see if that comes through for them. We're about to head into pick and bans and gets this underway shortly. But, I mean, really, I think the big player to watch here is once again going to be that mid lane matchup. We saw Alex Ich take on Yasui. Solo killed him out a couple of times, 1v1. We'll have to see if Alex Ich can do the same to Astro. Obviously a much more different player, but a similar pool as we saw him play Zed in the games yesterday. But we're now into picks and bans. Shyvana and Maokai taken off the board by Misfits. And then on the opposite side, we do have Azir and Zed taken away already. The bans coming out for Alex Ich.
And Alex Ich, of course, pulled out his Orianna yesterday, was also targeted banned by Zed. He's kind of fallen back to that champion recently within the challenger scene. A lot of top lane bans, though. Kind of surprised to see Shyvana and Maokai taken away, but the last ban for Misfits will be Cassiopeia, and then on the other side, Gragas. Instalock Hecarim, RF Legendary, performed really well in that yesterday. Crumbzz certainly camped his lane and allowed him to get a snowball, so we'll see if that trend continues. Crumbzz went for the Nunu yesterday. With Gragas taken off the table, we still have that Nunu and Rek'Sai available.
Yeah, but as much as Crumbzz did cramp the top lane, we did see RF still make a couple of mistakes, getting baited into a couple of poor engages, giving Solo a kill on that Kennen yesterday, but Alex Ich just going to grab that LeBlanc. He says, take the other two off the table, no problem. I'll pick up yet another assassin, and Alex Ich getting a dominant mid lane pick could affect the course of this game very quickly. But like you said, Rek'Sai for Lord of the Pit means a lot of vision control coming out for Inertia already, and an early game jungler, always a good option against an aggressive mid laner like Alex Ich.
And it will be Mimer possibly taking that Morgana into the bot lane, although maybe Astro will pick it up for the mid lane, especially as Alex Ich has kind of showed his hand with that LeBlanc. It's not a terrible matchup. Morgana is able to survive it.
And we'll have to see how well it works out for them. Obviously, we saw Golden Glue kind of struggle to get any kills in the early game, and the game that he played earlier today in the LeBlanc versus Morgana matchup. But in the mid game, you kind of come back. You can make more of an impact if you get the opportunity to roam out of your lane. Tough to do against Morgana, though. She just has so much lane pressure.
Time really ticking down here, and it's not going to be the jungle lock-in, but it's going to be the Thresh. Now, obviously, whenever we see the Thresh lock-in, it's going to go to Yuno. She's known as the Thresh Princess. An insane win rate on this champion in solo queue. It's almost her one-trick pony to ride all the way to Challenger, but see if it's going to perform the same in ranked 5s. On the other side, we have Orianna and Severe locked in.
And those immediate lock-ins, it seems like Inertia has had a plan from the start. Orianna has been an incredibly popular pick, and we talked about how she's kind of like the universal safe lane mid laner. She can fit pretty much into any team comp, and of course, when you start that command protect in lane, you're pretty safe from the early harass from LeBlanc, at least for the first few levels.
Likewise, I just want to touch again. Obviously, the Severe is in response. It synergizes really well with Inertia's overall composition, but it's obviously really safe against the Thresh because in the 2v2 you're going to have your spell shield available, but just the confidence of picking that champion, knowing the matchup, picking it into a black shield and a spell shield.
That's a pretty intense lane for sure. Maybe we'll see a lane swap in this game. I wouldn't put it past the Misfits to do so, although now locking in that Lucian for Intense, the old school wife steal bot lane, It's a pretty powerful lane, and obviously incredibly dominant in the early game. We'll have to see if they opt for the 2v2 versus the Morgana and the Sivir, or if they instead try to go for the 2v1 against Isunari, although Isunari's shown himself to be pretty comfortable in those situations. Of course, Crumbzz now on that Jarvan pick. Doesn't really care so much about the Black Shield. We'll still be able to lock down just about anyone on the team, and there's a lot of escapeless characters on the opposite side. Of course, Sivir not really going to be able to get out of that one easily.
And that's really what this Jarvan pick comes down to. It's an answer to the Severe. Obviously, she pops her On the Hunt ultimate. Jarvan throws the Cataclysm down on them, EQs out of it, and just kind of laughs. I would laugh. But I'm glad that you brought up the lane swap. We did have a lane swap from Misfits yesterday. Just beautifully executed. They got first blood, first tower, first dragon on a lane swap they initiated against Cloud9 Tempest. Again, the big powerhouse in the Challenger series. So we'll see if maybe they look to do that again and kind of burn through the tower with the Siege potential evolution, if they are going to face down into this 2v2 with a Thresh against the Black Shield Spell Shield.
I've seen Yuno play. I've seen some of her scrims from past teams. I've seen her solo queue games as well, and I don't know if 2 Spell Shields are going to be enough. This is one of the most lethal Thresh players in North America. And Mimer, kind of a relatively unknown name. We'll have to see if he can step up, but it's going to take some flawless Black Shields to stop this Thresh from landing the necessary hooks. We'll have to see if Inertia can do it, but if any team can, I imagine it would be them. Guys, we have about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the delay. Some exciting mid lane, top lane, jungle matchups for you. We'll be back with Misfits versus Inertia in just a few minutes. In the meantime, head over to AlphaDraft, and we'll be back.
Welcome to AlphaDraft, where esports fans win cash and prizes for drafting top fantasy teams. Your mission is this: every week draft your dream team from the LCS pros in that week's matchups. You'll receive a $50,000 salary cap to select your team. Teams have 6 players, a top, jungle, mid, ADC, support, and a flex position which can be filled by any player. You will also choose the team that you think will play best. Players are scored based on kills, deaths, assists, and CS, and teams win points for Dragon, Baron, and Turret kills. Every week, choose from both free and paid contests that will give away thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. Once games start, watch directly from AlphaDraft and see your stats update live. Most contests have many winners, so check back often to see how you match up against other LCS fans. Good luck, and remember, knowledge is money. Be Alpha.
Welcome back, everyone, to our final game of the day for Day 2 of the AlphaDraft Challenger League. Hope you updated your fantasy rosters. My name is Daniel C. Fedrakos. I'm joined by Rianne Frosker and more. Why don't you start us off by telling us about the Misfits?
Well, the blue side Misfits, it's going to be RF Legendary up in that top lane on Hecarim. Don't be fooled by the name change that is Dignitas's former jungler Crumbzz on Jarvan. Alexich in the mid lane. Intense getting invaded on here. The Dark Binding is going to not quite connect there on that Lucian. And then Yuno pulling up her signature Thresh champion in the 2v2 bottom.
Now known as Remelia. But on the opposite side for Inertia Gaming, it's going to be Isunari in the top lane on that Scion, Lord of the Pit in the jungle on Rek'Sai, Astro on that Orianna mid lane, Trigger and Mimer in the bot lane with the Sivir Morgana combo. No safer bot lane against Yuno's Thresh.
But this is kind of the response that we've been seeing all day as far as level 1s within not only this tournament, but the Challenger Series in general. And it's this constant invade to check for the lane swap wards. Obviously, not all teams are swapping, just making sure that everyone's getting the lane matchup that they expect. On the other side, though, Misfits respond appropriately by walking in and laying down their own deep wards.
Well, looks like it's working out for them well so far. Kind of just vision traded back and forth. No side with a clear advantage here, level 1, although it looks like Crumbzz and RF are going to start at this red buff, so they will get at least this taken away from Scion. And that's, of course, Isunari wants to face check into this one. Has to be careful, though. It looks like they're going to take the red buff, and then they may take out Scion as well as they see him doing that camp. It's going to be a huge misstep from Isunari.
Meanwhile, Alexich kind of playing with Lord of the Pit. Didn't steal the experience on the Gromp. We do see that Lord of the Pit did get the level 2. Alexich to level 1, and now between a rock and a hard place, he's going to have to walk past Astro. Should be fine, but trying to do a little bit of a cheeky play there.
Isunari gonna make it out, though. Gonna go to the next camp. Instead, got a little bit of experience here. Is gonna be able to pick up this wolf camp in zombie form, or at least a couple of them. As now RF Legendary backing with level 2. Crumbzz level 2 as well before he heads to this mid lane. Astro has to be careful. The flag and drag combo going in, the red buff being proc, but the shield gonna do enough, and Crumbzz taking a lot of damage back in response. Bot lane looking pretty even.
It's going to be totally fine, and this will be a 3 buff, as with Crumbzz taking the red buff, then moving down into the mid lane for the gank. He's then going to end on his red buff and regain all of that health back that he just lost from the gank by smiting the, what is it called? I want to call it Grumbleback.
Brambleback.
Brambleback. Good overall early level from Misfits, though, as they take the jungle advantage.
RF Legendary already trying to bully Isunari out of the top lane. Intense and Remelia, formerly known as Yuno, kind of suffering in this early game. Still just waiting for Yuno to land that hook. Obviously, the options are limited, while Black Shield and Spell Shield are most likely up. You can see Trigger taking that one level 2 immediately after Ricochet, not even bothering for Boomerang Blade. As the Ignite's coming down, Yuno going to go right into the Spell Shield on that one, but you can see her perfect accuracy already coming out.
I actually really like the evolution of Yuno's play on Thresh. She's formerly wouldn't lead with a Flay. A lot of Thresh players like to do that. Like, obviously, if the AD carry ever lets you just like walk up within Flay distance, you should just burn it, because it will pretty much guarantee the follow-up death sentence chain CC there. But instead, Yuno would normally look for the hook just because she has such a high accuracy on that. Walks up, finds the Flay, doesn't necessarily connect with the death sentence due to a nicely timed Black Shield from Mimer, but it's really comforting to see Yuno's play evolving on this Thresh, a champion that she's so comfortable with. But you will notice that when she walks up to the creep wave, she'll always walk up to the side of it, stand on the back of the caster creeps, and when she throws these hooks, just watch the angle that she throws it at. She always expects her opponent, most people would think, to back up, but a lot of people at this high elo will step forward, and she'll nail it every single time.
And of course, a predictable strategy like that, if her opponents can recognize it, could leave her vulnerable. Of course, Trigger did have to back out of that lane, managed to pick up a second Doran's Blade for himself. Still going to be down about 8 CS. Will be able to push this wave in, though, hopefully recoup the loss. But now, of course, going to be down a lot of damage as Lucian able to pick up that pickaxe. Intense going to have a lot more damage as he comes back into this lane.
And I like how the team is collectively getting involved. We did just kind of miss a 3-man walk into Astro's lane. Doesn't connect with the gank, but applying a lot of that pressure and forcing the mid laner to burn his flash. So, wins the bot lane, forces Secure to back, and gets the CS and itemization advantage there. Then he immediately transitions her power into the mid lane, forces another flash there on Astro.
The early game roam, so not getting too much, just a flash. We'll have to see if they can respond with anything of their own. Mimer and Trigger looking a lot more confident now as they've gotten a few more levels under their belt. Sivir and Morgana, of course, looking pretty safe. Intense clear out this wave as much as possible, pulling it up, trying to stop it from hitting the turret. But unfortunately missing that cannon creep there. So losing a little bit here, but still the lane just about even. Crumbzz tempted to go toe-to-toe with Lord of the Pit, but is just going to back off. And the mid lane already a small CS advantage from Alex Each. Benefits of all that early game pressure from his team.
What's really scary for Astro is that he doesn't have that Flash Summoner available as Alex Each gets closer to that big ultimate, the level 6 power spike. And in the bot lane, it's a double Dorans versus pickaxe Dorans, so technically Trigger has the sustain advantage and kind of elongated trades. He's still competing against the relic proc, looking for the death sentence. Doesn't connect, one of the rare few times. But Intense definitely has the upfront burst damage here, and you can see that as he was bullying Trigger out, forcing him to burn the pot.
Isunari not playing scared around RF Legendary whatsoever. Crumbzz
Flash forward,
locking down Astro as much as possible. Astro trying to play a little bit safe here. Is going to get smited, but not taking too much damage. LeBlanc only with the Doran's ring to her name, not doing enough burst in that situation. And of course, a little bit of a misstep from Crumbzz there, burning his flash for nothing. The barrier actually will get dropped by Astro though, so managed to get at least a small respite. But once Alex Each backs, that's when Oriana's really going to have to be careful. Astro playing pretty well into this lane despite all the pressure.
Looks like Inertia looking for a dragon. They do catch out Yuno.
Yuno finally landing a hook, but it's too little too late as she does get burned down there. A flawless back shield onto Lord of the Pit stops the flay from going off. And First Blood going over to Inertia. Now a 600k gold advantage as they move in onto Intense. The binding missing. And Intense looking super calm there as he just very lucky that one didn't hit him. Either that or some amazing reaction time not to do anything about it.
So what led into this and kind of caused this First Blood to happen in favor of Inertia is that they saw that Crumbzz ganked the mid lane, but they saw that Crumbzz exited towards the top side of the jungle. So knowing that Crumbzz Jarvan was on the top side of the map, they decided to apply their pressure, assume that he was going to gank top or maybe invade Lord of the Pit, and try to force the dragon. Of course, Yuno face checks over there, eats a fantastic binding place from Mimir, and Inertia pick up the First Blood. Doesn't translate into the dragon, but it's definitely some sort of reward to get them back into this game.
Astro not going to try to stop the back from Alex Each. Alex Each already back with the Chalice and the Fiendish Codex. Of course, only 10% CDR right now, so definitely a little bit less of an appropriate build path for him compared to the Morel and Nomicon, missing out on about 10% CDR right now. But it will be made up for as soon as he can combine those items. In the meantime, of course, Oriana on the opposite side, picking up Boots instead of finishing the Fiendish Codex. An interesting choice. Also grabbing the Pink Ward, not wanting to be deceived by that LeBlanc passive.
The Boots will definitely help her sidestep the Flag and Drag knockup and the Crumbzz pressure that he's applied on that lane, especially because her flash is still down.
The other big thing is that the bot lane for Inertia has hit level 6, while Intense and Yuno still only level 5 for each of them. Of course, CS still about the same, but Sivir making up for it, has a pickaxe of her own. Now Lucian, though, with an extra longsword, so a small AD advantage to Lucian, but a small sustain advantage to Sivir, just as we saw earlier on.
Should be noted that Misfits don't look nearly as coordinated as they did yesterday when they performed a absolutely flawless lane swap against Cloud9 Tempest. Wonder if this is going to be a continued trend that, given a straight 2v2 standard lane setup, that the disparity between the teams is almost evened out. If maybe it's just Misfits' superior strategy because they have these veteran players that allow them to overperform and kind of beef up their performance versus just the straight raw mechanical ability of these individual challenger players just matching up 1v1.
You can see RF Legendary coming out on the backside of those trades. Not looking so hot in this top lane. Out farming, though, so doing a good job there. But without Crumbzz to provide a lot of early pressure onto this Scion, not able to get the kind of kill advantage that he wants to have. Of course, Scion, much more difficult opponent to take down than Kennen. But Astro, once again, just looking incredibly comfortable in this mid lane, trading well with Alex Each despite the superior damage output of LeBlanc in this early to mid game.
The issue is that we're starting to find slight CS discrepancies across the solo lanes. Not much, but again, it's that magical number between 13 to 15 CS that equates to a kill worth of gold. And it reflects right now, as you see in the scoreboard, 13.2 to 13.6. Really the only difference, that First Blood gold.
Intense getting locked down here. Mimir not going to follow up whatsoever. Yuno going to land the hook, but right into the spell shield, so Trigger is going to walk out of that one safely. Yuno just can't seem to find a break here. Trigger, good reaction speed to deny that engage, and Intense once again tanking yet another binding. moving forward and making sure they can't engage anymore. But Intense has to be careful here. It's not a good position for him to be in. Lord of the Pit and Astro, though, going to try to take this one down. They do have the Skull Crab available. Alex Each hovering around the outside, but Crumbzz is nowhere in sight. And RF Legendary in trouble here. It looks like First Dragon going down to Inertia, as RF Legendary going to get stopped as B, so he can't teleport Home Guards into that fight.
Fantastic call from Inertia right there to see that they had the lead in the mid lane and the bot lane, so they were able to pressure that forward. Didn't have necessarily the vision to see that Crumbzz had gone back, but knew that they had the advantage should the bot lanes get involved.
CRF Legendary does have the Smite instead of the Ignite, so we'll have to see if the Cinderhulk will come out from him. Has the Health Crystal. I'm not sure how I feel about Cinderhulk as compared to Triforce, but Challenging Smite is obviously very powerful on just about anybody. That 20% reduced damage from the target you smited, just pretty ridiculous against a team with limited damage threats.
With the Dragon objective down, that means that more attention can be paid to this top laner by either junglers, although right now in the mid lane, it's Alex Itch under fire.
Looks like he will be able to make it out of this one. The Deceive passive helping him out at least a little bit. Lord of the Pit going to spot him with the Tremor Sense, but not going to follow up. Alex Each dropped down to about 300 health, but not going to get the kill. Intense and Trigger left alone in the bot lane. Doesn't look like it's going to affect anything whatsoever, though. And Alex Each starting to get bullied out by Astro here. Intense, though, going in. Intense also locked down here. Memer going to miss that, but going to immediately blown up as the Tormented Soil will snag the kill for Memer. And Intense soloed out here, or almost soloed out here. Memer comes to save the day. Trigger within an inch of his life, but not going to be enough to finish him off.
Intense thought he had an acceptable window of opportunity to kind of force down on Trigger. This is what we're talking about. I love the Lucian versus Severe matchup just because the spell shield will only block one tick of the culling. That said, Memer did a fantastic job flashing over that wall and forcing Intense to kind of back off and sending him to his early grave with a nice soul shackle.
Well, now it looks like everything is pretty much calmed down, but you can see already Inertia with about a 1k gold lead. Crumbzz and RF Legendary, though, trying to get some control on the top side of the map. You can see that pink ward in the bush has gone relatively unnoticed around the red buff area. We'll have to see when that finally does get taken out, but that will give them some general ideas as to Rex-size movements. Now Alex Each trying to lock down Astro, going to get at least a little bit of damage back, but the Ethereal Change second proc will not pop in that instance. And still a lot of emphasis on the bot side coming in from Inertia. It's clear where they know where their power lies, and it looks like it's in the hands of Trigger right now.
I mean, the primary difference from today's Misfits versus yesterday's Misfits, when they had pretty much the most blowout performance as far as the games that we had yesterday, is that Crumbzz really has had not as big of an impact as he did on his Nunu, which is surprising because you think like Jarvan has actually more gank potential than Nunu. He should be able to impact his lanes even harder. He focused heavily on the top lane yesterday and really snowballing RF Legendary ahead and just not connecting this time around. We'll see if maybe as the game goes on, especially as he walks down into this bottom lane, if maybe a Lantern gank will help things out, but they really need to get Crumbzz rolling. Oh, what a pause.
Hook about to come out as the game is paused. Now, of course, it looks like we have a few seconds left before we're going to jump back into this one, and just a little bit of lag issues as we approach this. Players should have sorted out momentarily.
Even if this hook doesn't land and it looks like it's primed straight at Memer's Morgana, if Yuno just hits the creep and then throws the Lantern and then pulls forward, that's all she needs to do. She just needs to act as a gap-closing tool to get Crumbzz closer so he can burn his EQ to try to force the flash and then immediately follow it up with the Cataclysm.
You got to think, though, that there is no worse time to pause, because the player that's having lag issues right now is Memer, right? And so now the team is saying, ready, guys, we're going to get back into the game in just a second here, but right going to be into this hook. 1 second. Gonna land it onto Memer. Not enough time as the lag goes down. The Black Shield too little too late. Memer going to go down. It looks like Sivir locked down as well. And now the double kill for Misfits in what is now my favorite pause of all time, as the Misfits pick up 2 kills for themselves, and Memer, an unfortunate circumstance for him for sure. And this is Memer, a pretty big swing.
Confirmed. That's a little bit unfortunate. Confirmed, not ghosting. That said, I mean, they're 3 minutes ahead anyway. It'd be one thing if it was a big professional match, so it's not that devastating.
Definitely, though, we're going to see Crumbzz steal his red-blue buff. He is going to get it before getting pulled out. Good synergy there between the jungler and the support. And now it looks like Tsunari slowly starting to lose this advantage in this lane as RF Legendary continues to build that farm. And once again, now that Lucian has a kill, it's a pretty big swing, but Romalia going to have a hard time getting away from Lord of the Pit as he does have that red buff, going to have to flash away. Now going underground. He has his flash too, but red buff tick finally going to get it. The second death of the game for Yuno. And rough spot to be as the second kill for Lord of the Pit is now picked up.
She's not having a lot of luck with that particular bush. That was also the bush that fed First Blood over to Inertia when she got caught by Mimer's binding. So I think she'll stay away from that one. I think she's probably learned her lesson.
Crumbzz on the way in to stop anyone from trying to take down this turret. Lucian doing his best to clear out the waves. It's the murder bush, to be fair. I mean, nothing else is going to go down there. Lord of the Pit getting attacked. RF Legendary came in from behind, but it looks like a follow-up TP is going to be there. Sion going to cancel that one and continue to push on the top side of the map. RF Legendary, unfortunately, not really able to find a good engage despite having the Onslaught of Shadows available and not really putting the Smite to good use yet.
Inertia trying to take their kill on Yuno and transition it into an objective. That said, they do force the teleport, so not all wasted. Kind of unfortunate that there was a bit of a miscommunication between Tsunari and calling down his teleport as well. Like you said, doesn't follow it up, but they may get the top lane tower for their troubles, if not quite a bit of damage on it.
Looks like more like just quite a bit of damage as Hecarim speeds back to that lane. The devastating charge giving him so much mobility. Yuno once again landing the hook, but right into the black shield, so not getting a break on this one as now that Mimer's connection has been fixed, he looks like a little bit more comfortable.
We found the counter to Yuno. You just need to pick Severe Morgana. That's how you take her down. Don't ban the Thresh, just specific bot lane.
Severe Morgana. See, if Alex Each had played Morgana mid, Yuno would have landed a lot of hooks already.
Alex Each
but Astro going to get soloed out. Looks like LeBlanc is just a fine choice for Alex Each. He's kind of struggling throughout the majority of this early game to find a kill, but now with a 30 CS lead, picks that one up with almost effortlessly. Orianna still had barrier available throughout that entirety of that exchange. And just excellent timing from Alex Each there to pick up that kill.
Don't think he was expecting that burst damage. Just melted him from behind his own tower. Fearless dive from Alex, and this will transition into a free dragon for Inertia. Don't think Lord of the Pit can safely approach this, especially without the pressure of his mid laner.
Tense going to DPS this one down pretty quickly. Alex Each even going to throw in a quick combo onto the dragon. Crumbzz snagging that one for the team. 16 minutes in, everything looking pretty tied up as the gold lead is just about even. A very small advantage coming over to Misfits. And after a pretty rough early game for Misfits, it looks like they're starting to find their stride as they find solo kills and obviously that double kill down in the bot lane. We'll have to see where Crumbzz puts his attention next. Neither bot laner has finished Infinity Edge yet, so no clear advantage there either.
Misfits have already demonstrated that their success hinges and determines on Crumbzz getting involved with the team. We talked about how it was kind of a wash for Misfits' early game comparatively to yesterday, although Alex Itch making major plays again in that mid lane, until Crumbzz shows up and gets that massive double kill and things start to snowball from there.
Of course, Crumbzz having a smaller impact this game, but still doing pretty well, on par with Lord of the Pit at least. They both have participated in 2 kills for the team. Of course, Crumbzz giving one of those over to Lucian, though, so maybe more at an advantage as he now starts to clear out the Scuttle Crab around this area. Lord of the Pit, though, hovering around in the mid lane. I think he can smell the all-in coming as Alex Each goes in. Astro going to have to burn out Flash. Going to back off there, though. Just a free summoner spell taken. Traded in exchange for the Cataclysm, and Lord of the Pit not going to follow up whatsoever as the 3-piece combo from LeBlanc not going to follow, or not going to land the Ethereal Chain. So no pop damage on that Mimic Sigil of Silence.
And that was pretty expected right there. We do see Yuno trading the Flay.
Landing it on Trigger, though. A quick swap over there as he tries to shield through that one. It looks like Yuno will go down, and Tent's not going to get anything. And tanking that last tower shot means he could go down to Trigger as well. Lord of the Pit is on the way. He has the Prey Seeker available, but it doesn't look like he's going to chase for this one. And a huge misstep from Yuno, despite a very clever hook. Means they're not going to come out on top in that 2v2 exchange.
Looking for the aggression, walks up within ultimate range of Mimer. Mimer's like, this is fine. This saves me the fact that I don't have my flash available, so I can't get on top of you. Immediately pops ult and just deletes Yuno from the map. Very big misstep.
And Yuno, of course, has been on point with the hooks as expected, but the decision-making hasn't quite been there yet. Maybe a little bit too much pressure on her shoulders to perform on this champion, or a little too eager to make plays, but either way, not working out very well for them. Now, pretty much the sole cause of the majority of their deaths is in the bot lane, so Misfits Really got to figure out what's going on with their strategy and how they're going to approach the rest of this game. The gold lead now 1K, almost 2K in the favor of Inertia.
See if they're able to keep this ball rolling. Inertia? Gaming?
Oriana?
I
So many levels.
It just goes deeper. No, fun fact about Inertia, they were an organization before they were a team. Their primary mission statement and goal is that they want to create positive change and influence within the esports scene. And they're using their challenger team. I mean, obviously they really like their challenger team, but they're using their challenger team effectively as a vehicle for their esports organization to promote this message of positivity. Fun fact.
Well, of course, it's always good to see people trying to take a step out for the scene. We'll have to see if they can take a win as well. As Lord of the Pit getting soloed out here. Locked down by the Cataclysm for a second there. Kind of glitched out on the tunnel, but making it through the wall before getting taken down by RF Legendary. Some smart map movement from the top laner and the jungler from Misfits. Now, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to gain too much out of that. They will steal the red buff. And this one going over to Crumbzz, and the exchange as Alex Each pushes in on the mid lane and tries to take out some of this vision, that pink ward being taken down quickly.
And a 1-2 punch across map. Misfits not only take the bottom tier towers, so some global gold, but massive lead in the jungle is, again, Crumbzz getting involved finally with RF Legendary on that top side to put Lord of the Pit in his place. In the ground.
Wow, putting him in his place. Alex Each now has the Luden's Echo finish, though, so that's a pretty huge damage spike for him. You'll notice he got that so quickly, not only because it's a 40 CS lead, but also because he didn't opt to buy boots whatsoever. Very comfortable on this LeBlanc pick, clearly not too worried about
boots? Where has he gone?
He can jump twice.
Got the Scion. Doesn't look like she's going to follow that one through. He's got the double distortion, obviously, with LeBlanc, one of the easier champions to get away with not picking up boots. But that said, Alex Ich, and we've seen this from him both games, he doesn't leave that mid lane.
He likes playing in the mid lane, and quite frankly, he always manages to find a solo kill. Almost 2 so far, and...
It frees him up. Like, normally a lot of... You think about, like, Yusui, the style. Yusui's very much into that roam and kind of transitioning his lead across the map. Alex Ich doesn't need to do that because Crumbzz just does such a fantastic job impacting the entire map. So it's just kind of indicative of Misfits' emerging style and their identity as a team.
But will that continue to work for them against teams who have roaming mid laners? We'll have to see. Obviously, it's doing pretty well against this Oriana, who's more than content to just farm in the mid lane. But Alex Each just trying to find some damage. He clears out the wave, the power of that Luden's Echo, giving a lot of extra wave clear to that distortion. Lord of the Pit finding out very quickly that his red buff is gone. And now may wander himself into the mid lane, dragging up in about 40 seconds. The next big point of contention for both of these teams. And already not too much vision coming in for either side, although a little bit more in the favor of Inertia.
Like you said, Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, so that's going to be the big stage for the next 5v5. We'll see if they're able to siege into this mid lane. Do have Crumbzz and Yuno there for support, so should be okay to hold this one off. Alex Ich finally does have boots, but Lord of the Pit going hard on Crumbzz here.
Not going to be able to get too much there, forcing the flag and drag combo defensively, so that one won't be available for at least a few more seconds. Not too many major cooldowns burned, though. Lord of the Pit looking a lot more confident when he's got Oriana on his back. Alex Ich trying to find some damage, taking a small chunk out of Isunari's health, but RF Legendary now on the way as well. Who wins in this 5v5 team fight? Does anyone have a definitively stronger lineup?
Alex Ich has a huge power spike and advantage on top of Astro right now. So it's all about the rotations through the cooldowns and abusing that Luden's Echo, getting as many procs off of it as possible. If he's able to delete someone, yeah, definitely. Misfits. We do see that RF Legendary is backing right now. He has the teleport available as well as the home guard. Actually, he's running to the top lane. I expected that he would wait and try to wait, or he'd wait on the spawn with the home guard and see if he was going to look for a flank, but he's actually going to respond to that top wave.
Isunari getting hooked once again, but no Black Shield's going to be burned there. They know it's not too important of a target to stop the CC on. Isunari already incredibly tanky with that Frozen Heart and Giant's Belt. Gonna try to land the Decimating Smash. Gonna hit Yuno. Yuno getting locked down as follow-up, but no one gonna go on to that one. And the Dragon being burned through quickly. The TP coming in for Hecarim. He might try to find his way into the back line. He has the ultimate available. Gonna go in onto the team. Locked down in the Cataclysm, but 2 locked down by the Shockwave as they're ripped through. Astro doing so much damage. Intense caught out as well. And it looks like Alex Each trying to find something. Will be able to get a kill back as Intense somehow finds his way out of that fight. Had to use Flash and heal. But it looks like he'll go down as well. Alex Each going to try to go on to trigger. The spell shield coming in. Is it going to be enough? Lord of the Pit going to blank tank that ethereal chains for him as Alex Each just desperately tries to make it out of this one. Intense may go down to the turrets here. Nope, looks like he's going to make it out safely. So after all of that, the kill score is now even. The gold remains even. But it looks like the fight's still going in the favor of, believe it or not, Misfits, as it's the 2-for-3 exchange.
Well, Inertia's going to get the dragon out of it, so it's definitely going to be, again, hashtag worth for them. Big issue was how Misfits approached and engaged that fight. So the issue was they had their carries on one side, the left side of the pit. They had Crumbzz, their big secondary, I guess, initiation tool on the right side, and then they had RF Legendary teleporting from the back again. He didn't use his home guard, so it was just the onslaught of shadows. It was a decent engage from Hecarim, but the problem was that the time that it took Crumbzz to engage from the right side, land the Cataclysm, and lock everyone down within the tank line, he was immediately then deleted and removed from the map before his carries could even do anything with the Cataclysm and the tank line and the lockdown. So kind of wonky. They didn't quite collapse as cleanly and as precisely as I would have liked, and Inertia walking away with the dragon.
Well, good on Inertia to fight as well as they did, and huge props to Astro. He saw that Cataclysm come down, and he instantly knew that he was going to be able to land the Shockwave. Although he is still taking a ton of damage from Alex each of these exchanges. Crumbzz coming in. They're going to try to find themselves a pick. Oh, the immediate burst of damage there. Yuno trying to follow up with the hook. They're not going to find another one, but they do get Orianna, which means that the wave clear coming in from Inertia is significantly crippled. We'll have to see if they transition this into a mid lane turret. Looks like Isunari is going to try to deny this one, but Lucian already on his way to the top side. Split pressure coming out across the map in a sudden burst of action from Misfits.
Crumbzz remembers. He remembers the shockwave and he wanted revenge, and he just dunked Astro. That damage combination between him and Alex Itch was disgusting.
Yuno keeps hooking the Scion, and I feel like it doesn't do anything, but she just keeps doing it. Lucian, though, will get that tower for his team. Now, finally, a gold lead coming in from Misfits. It's exactly what they wanted, but Inertia's been able to keep up this whole time. We'll have to see if they can get something back. Alex Each does almost no damage to that Scion, especially now that he's finished that Spectre's Cowl. Alex Each working on a Void Staff, potentially. We'll have to see how that affects his damage output. And Crumbzz starting to fight Lord of the Pit. I don't know if this is his best engage option, though. Orianna is on the way to back him up, and Alex Each still trying to do damage to Isunari, but it's really not coming through. About half health now. Intense. Gonna have to back off here. Does have Yuno and Crumbzz with him, though. Could try to find a pick.
There is one constant in this game that has been unchanging, especially as Crumbzz goes hard on Lord of the Pit here, and a Krug takes majority of the damage of that culling. And the one constant of this game is that Alex Each will never leave mid lane.
Alex Each wants this mid turret so much, and he may find it. Crumbzz trying to go in there, uses the Cataclysm to lock down Mimer, not trapping himself in that one as he flashes out. Alex Each potentially going to get locked down, though, and shut down. A flawless use of CC there, and Crumbzz is Jarvan, and he's helping. A little bit of a misstep on the Cataclysm there.
Big issue is that he wasn't able to click the lantern. There were about 20 million creeps standing on top of it, as well as the Jarvan flag, so I can just imagine. It was a good chain CC from Inertia, don't get me wrong. Fantastic counter engage from Mimer, but I can just imagine the comms right now. I can't click it. I can't click it.
Well,
There's nothing
definitely
more disappointing than watching your mid laner die with the lantern next to him.
That's tough. What would have been a nearly flawless engage turns against them as Inertia, of course, with excellent CC and a little backup from the creep wave. And Alex's inability to click a lantern, of course, coming out to save the day there. Alex now 3-1-1, still a great scoreline, but giving up that kill does mean that his killing spree was over. So a little bit of bonus goal over to Mimer. Not the best target, but that does mean that he is going to finish that Zhonya's Hourglass 28 minutes in. So will be much more of a threat in those team fights.
Big power spike, of course, for your Morgana. See where the next objective is for either team. It should be that mid-tier towers. It's going to, again, grant the most passive vision control and map control. Although it's very hard to siege into an Orianna and a LeBlanc. I mean, Alex Itch has been trying to do this for the last 29 minutes. I love him. He's my favorite player.
Yeah,
just
find an
funny.
opportunity. Waiting on the opposite side of the wall. He wants to get Trigger, but Trigger, of course, with that Black Shield, so hard to kill. And he does now have the Void Staff as well, so he can probably hurt the Scion, clearing out those waves quite effortlessly. But RF Legendary now splitting in the top lane. Scion going to have to go up there to deal with this. and now has the challenging smite as well as the Cinder Hulk, so the Hecarim starting to get tanky. We'll have to see if the smite itemization is going to start paying off now that he's finished that first jungle item.
Very late Cinder Hulk, if you think about it, and kind of the reverse of how this is supposed to work in using the smite to snowball your itemization because you're killing more minions and getting more gold that way. Really just wants the Cinder Hulk just for the stats that it gives, which are fantastic, but kind of awkward. We'll see how it pays off for him. Obviously, the Trinity Force is his big power spike, although he had that the last dragon fight.
It's interesting indeed, especially given that the Skirmisher Saber does give you more gold from those jungle camps, but as you mentioned, RF Legendary really didn't seem too interested in them. And, I mean, well, this is pretty much the test. Is Cinder Hulk that powerful that you can build it in any order on your build, or is it maybe a little less powerful? Intense, though, over the wall with the Gunblade, trying to solo out Astro, doing a lot of damage,
Nice.
flashing over the Shockwave, picking up that kill for himself. Alex Each in the mid lane, first trying to burst out someone as well, matching Intense's pressure.
It was really patient and well played from Intense too, because he sat over the wall and he watched Orianna use the initial cooldowns, the Q and the W, knowing that they were down. They're very short cooldowns, but knowing that they were down for that window, then immediately went for the engagement instead of, seeing Orianna there and then just flashing over on top of him. So I really like the thought process behind it. Of course, it was also just flashy.
Smart engage from Intense, and the flash fingers on that flash are going to give him that kill onto Astro. Once again, Astro not even able to use Barrier in that moment, so good play from Intense. Did have to use the culling though, so not going to get too much from that. And not pushing out anything other than that mid turret. Maybe Alex Each is finally free to leave mid lane while he will at least come to this dragon fight. And Astro might be too far away to back up his team. Looks like Inertia not going to be able to get this one. And slowly losing gold is now a 4K advantage goes in the favor of the Misfits.
And the only reason that I'm kind of harping on Alex and the fact that he stayed in that mid lane is because he's been so powerful for so long that I would have loved to see him dual invade with Crumbzz and to pick up some free extra kills around the map and to kind of use his influence and his power to create more pressure. So that's my only point and why I'm kind of harping on, why'd you stay mid for so long, Alex? Even Orianna got some roams in. I would have just liked to see him snowball a little bit harder. But here we go, Inertia looking for the counter push on the mid lane. Surely will fall, there it goes.
It's going to recoup some of the gold difference. Now only about 2.5K in exchange, but Alex Each going for perfect CS this game. Already has 300 on his belt at the 32-minute mark. We'll see if he can get to 400 by 40. If the game even makes it that far, we'll have to see. Obviously, we're kind of starting to pay attention to Baron as we approach the 30-minute mark. This is the next big objective on the map. Either team, if left alone, could take this one down quite easily. But we'll have to see who is going to kind of push around that or create pressure around that area. Both teams have 2 dragons, and the gold lead not big enough to make a huge difference here. So both teams relatively even, at least in gold values.
We're coming up into the point where either players have started to kind of clean up their third or second big itemization. You've got the Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, third itemization. The full combo done from, the full core done for Severe there. Likewise on the other side, Lucian going for that Ghost Blade. Obviously empowers his ultimate because it allows him to get more shots off of the culling when he activates it. Other big items, like you said, the Zhonya's Hourglass on Morgana, and also the Thorn Mail on Crumbzz actually coming out relatively early. Shockwave going down, doesn't amount to anything.
Going to cancel out the culling there, though, so it is going to stop that kill from going down. And, trying to find a hook. Interesting choice to use it then. Of course, RF Legendary is on the way. Mimir looks to be caught out here. Does still have Zhonya's available, but it's not going to be enough. I wonder if they're going to give this one over to Alex. It looks like they will. Now 4-1-1 on that LeBlanc pick. Got to give him those extra fantasy points. We know a lot of people picked him up after yesterday's game, so makes sense that they give the kill over to him. And now it looks like Baron may be the focus coming in from Misfits, as they do have 4 members poised around this, and it looks like they might just go for the Fnatic kind of gank brush instead.
Over the wall? Nope.
Lord of the Pit trying to knock him up. A lot of damage coming in from Alex Each there. Going to pick up yet another kill. 5-1-1 now.
I just want to say, he leaves mid lane, immediately gets 2 kills. Just saying.
If you can tell him after the game.
He's so powerful. Come on, Alex. But with that cleanup, this surely will be the Baron, especially because it was the jungler that went down, so there's no contest for the smite. That's going to be a clean pickup for Misfits here, and now it's about where are they going to use this Baron, and are they going to be able to break the inhib line?
That's the big thing that a lot of these challenger teams struggle with, is breaking the inhib line, even with experienced players like Crumbzz or Alex each. Of course, Inertia struggled with it yesterday as well, but Inertia still on the back foot, but looking like they've got at least decent control over their own jungle, although Oriana even just a little bit scared to approach those Raptors. Rek'Sai, though, will give them a lot of passive vision control, and you can see that the top side of their map has a lot of vision as well. We're going to have to see. The big question is, where are Misfits going to go, and how is Inertia going to respond?
Look at the CS discrepancies across the map. So yeah, Alex did stay in the mid lane, and he did get something out of it, and it's called 332 CS to 258. That's an 80 CS difference, Sifa.
But I mean, look at the bot lane too, already 45 in the favor of Lucian here, and you can see it paying off for him as he does have that extra BF sword coming out. As the score lines are pretty much identical. Intense trying to lock down Oriana. Oriana going to have to flash out. The Coling just does so much damage, ripping through about 2/3 of that health bar. They're now going to take down the tier 2 turret uncontested, and Alex each on the front line trying to do as much damage as possible. Sion, a hard character to hit a LeBlanc with. Just too mobile.
That said, they do have a wave waiting for them in the bot side. Should they go to empower it with their Baron creeps? Nope, never mind. Don't need the wave. They're going to go ahead and tank this one out and take 2 global objectives.
Continuing to snowball their gold lead up.
Oh,
Almost
that
8K
damage.
already.
Look at
Intense.
that damage from Intense.
Just 2-shot the Sivir, basically. One more auto would have finished her off, and it's just so much raw power here into this Lucian. He, of course, has the elixir as well. The Wrath, just extra lifesteal, extra burst damage, nearly unstoppable already. And just think about when he activates that Youmuu's, what his damage output is going to be. They need to focus him down.
Just look at the scoreboard. This is 60k to 52k. This is very close to a 10k gold deficit, but it doesn't necessarily reflect. They've only got 2 more towers. They've only got 3 more kills. We're even on dragons. All of that surplus gold is pretty much entirely in the CS discrepancies. They've just been power farming through this. So yeah, it looked a little bit less clean than what we saw yesterday with their lane swap, but it's all really paid off in these elongated lane phases.
Looks like it's working very well for them. We talked about how Lucian doesn't scale into late game as a carry. Looks like he's doing pretty darn well for Intense, at least. 2-1 and 3 the score, but I mean, what that score doesn't show is how many times he's nearly killed someone, how many times his burst rotation has almost solo killed the Sivir. And now it looks like 3rd Dragon and that 5% movement speed are going to go over to Misfits for free as their Baron buff starts to wane.
And of course, the movement speed on the 3rd Dragon buff is very helpful, especially to RF Legendary on his Hecarim. Good news for Inertia Gaming, though, is that the Baron buff is down. They still have all 3 of their inhibitor towers, as well as their inhibs, so bit of a sigh of relief there. They stopped Misfits from picking apart the base.
But, of course, there is still that growing lead in the 10k in the favor of Misfits at this point. They will clear out as much vision as possible. Doesn't help when you sync up both your sweepers at the same time. And though Memer trying to clear out as much as possible. And now all 5 members of Misfits group come down the mid lane. Baron will be up in just a few more minutes, 3 or 4. And now Alex each going to solo out his own blue buff. Everything is kind of calmed down. This is the breathing room you were talking about, and we'll have to see what they do from here. Misfits seem determined to go mid.
Don't know if they're going to be able to siege this one down. You're still attempting to take down and siege into Oriana as well as Severe. Like, the wave clear there is just absolutely insane. I expect that they should be playing with their pressure points. They have 3 waves kind of created onto the side lanes, and they have the teleport available. Or they could possibly just look for a dive. We do see Alex kind of poking from the side, trying to delete someone from the map. Lord of the Pit needs to be very careful engaging like this.
Be careful for Alex each too. You saw him burn through health bars over and over again, and all of Memer's missing health, courtesy of that Alex each burst combo, even through the black shield. So it looks like they're just determined to poke this one out. Alex each even has the QSS, determined not to get locked down by the enemy lineup. Trying to find his way in. Repeatedly landing hooks on that Sion. Good body blocking here from Isunari, making sure that no one else on the lineup can tank those. And Intense trying to find it. Alex each going to get it knocked down as RF Legendary comes in with the ultimate and a sudden burst of action. And Misfits just wrecking the enemy team as they take every single member down. Continuing to land hooks onto the Scion, locking him down as well. He will go down, and what is now a 3-for-0 exchange in the favor of Misfits. Only Sivir and Rek'Sai left alive, as they will most assuredly break the inhibitor line and potentially end the game.
So we talked about how difficult it was to siege into Orianna and Severe, and pretty much their only option if they weren't going to play kind of the split push pressure, especially as we approach these Nexus towers. Surely this will be Misfits. See if Trigger pops his ultimate. Nope, there's Lord of the Pit. Trigger. Nope, there's Trigger. And there's the Nexus tower, and surely the game for Misfits. But let's talk about this. So, sieging is something that separates good teams from great teams. And this has kind of been the crutch and the issue with the challenger scene in general, is that these are very talented players, but it's kind of the strategy that lacks. And one of the main aspects of that is sieging a tower. It's very refreshing to see a team kind of understand how to play. They didn't go for the map pressure. They didn't attempt to kind of whittle away at the tower. They knew we're going to have to die here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick at them. We're going to send Alex H. LeBlanc. He's going to poke in. He's going to lay down some damage. And then when we're ready, we're going to get this massive, sick flank from the home guard Hecarim. Perfectly played. They dive the tower. They take the ace. They take the game. So started out a little bit shaky. Was kind of unsure if it was maybe just the superior strategy that sorry, producer talking in my ear. If it was the superior strategy of the lane swap that kind of inflated Misfits' performance yesterday, but they've now shown that in standard lanes, in the 1v1 matchups, and the 2v2 matchups, that they can stand toe-to-toe with anyone, that it's not just their strategy, they also have superior players, and it showed in their farm discrepancies, which is where most of this gold lead was built.
Misfits now 2-0, looking like the front runners for the AlphaDraft Challenger League. Of course, a lot of money on the line for these teams. Guys, if you're looking for players to draft for your fantasy lineup, it looks like you found a few today. Of course, Alex Each, 6-1-4, may never have left the mid lane, but with 368 CS, why would he need to? We'll be back tomorrow with day 3's games. Of course, another set for each and every one of these teams. In the meantime, tweet out your what you thought of the series with hashtag ADCL, and we'll try to put it on the next broadcast. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. My name is Daniel Cephadrakos, and this has, of course, been Ryan Frosker and more. Glad to be here, and we'll see you again tomorrow.